Okay. Okay, now let me tell me what you can see, because this is,
You can see your background.
yeah, no, it's not supposed to show you that. Okay, we'll go with this version for now. Hopefully that's, what can you see now?
That's perfect.
Okay, great. Okay, so thank you everybody for being here. I hope what I'm going to give you today is of value. And what I want to talk now, we've been talking about emotions, needs, and boundaries, and those are the human skills. And today I want to put this into a leadership context. So the first thing I want to do is I want to do a little bit of an exercise with you. Do you all have a pen and paper by any chance? Yeah. Okay. So grab that. And now draw fruit, please.
Just wanted to
Sorry,
draw a piece of
fruit. What?
Fruit.
Just draw a piece of fruit.
A piece of fruit.
Just draw fruit.
Tomatoes.
Okay, so if you just want to hold it up to the camera. So what did you draw?
Mine is an apple.
I drew an apple.
A banana. Apple.
Apple.
Pineapple.
Yeah.
Orange.
Orange. Somebody.
Apple.
Tomato. Yes. So all of that. Okay, so what if I tell you that you didn't actually do the task? Because you can't really draw fruit. You can draw a banana, you can draw apples. Those are the two favorite things that people draw. But if I get $1 for every time somebody drew that, I would have a really nice dinner. So you can draw cherries, oranges, and blueberries, but you cannot draw fruit. It's a concept. Okay, so fruit is when you chunk information, we generally go from fruit to apples to bananas, vegetables sideways, or nuts. We go up to food, and when we go down very specifically, we go to Gala apples, Fuji apples, Cavendish bananas, and plantain. So why is this so important? Is because we generally talk in concepts. So for the purposes of this exercise, I would invite you to imagine that you're running a company that makes fruit salad and sells fruit salad. So when you're hiring somebody, you hire them because you think they know what fruit salad means. So the problem now is that even if you teach them how to make fruit salad, there is still a lot of stuff in the way that stops people from becoming competent fruit salad makers. So I wanted to introduce you very simply to a model that you can use then with we're going to use the crutch of a fruit salad to help your people, the people you work with, to get to new levels of competence by supporting them in a way that helps them just where they're at, not where you expect them to be, not where you think they should be, not where they think they should be, but where they're actually at. So what I want to, this is called the situation leadership model. It was developed by Paul Heise and Ken Blanchard, who you may know from the 1 Minute Manager. If you haven't read that book, it's brilliant. I can highly recommend it. So the first thing you do when somebody comes in and you say, okay, we're making fruit salad, and you go, so do you know how to make fruit salad? People will generally say yes. And you say, off you go, make fruit salad. And they will generally go and do their own recipe. And then they will come back and you will say, no, we never put blueberries into the fruit salad. How did you come up with that? So let me show you how we make fruit salad. So you direct them through it. You show them how to do it. So in this way, you cut up the bananas, you cut up the apples, you show them exactly what to do. Unfortunately, what often happens then is you say, now I've shown you a couple of times, off you go, make fruit salad. The problem is that at that point, people don't generally have the skills to do it, especially if it's under, pressure conditions or anything like that. So we throw them into the deep end, and often people fail at that point. The problem is we forget that people need to actually fail several times before they become competent. And by showing them something once or twice, which is what we often do, they don't necessarily gain the competence. So the important thing is that we start coaching them and that we get them to a place where we say, okay, here's the banana, you cut up the banana, and we show them exactly how to do it while we're supervising them. And then once they know the recipe and they know how to do this really well, we get to a place where we just support them and we say, okay, so here you go. You know which fruit salad to make. You can just do this. If you've got any problems, please talk to me or walk me through how you want to do this. So they feel that they still have the support. And then they get to delegating. Then you get to say to them, okay, so how did you go with that fruit salad? And at this point, the person will say, well, I had some problems getting some gala apples, but it was okay. I was able to get Fuji apples, and the customer was very happy with that. And you don't have to bother with that at all. The crucial part in this is the supporting quadrant. This is the one where you actually still support, but you let them also take risks. And this is often where business owners fall short, because they go, well, if I let you take that risk, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, there's going to be problems. So the real problem is when the person you work with knows how to make fruit salad. At that point, they also want to bring in their own ideas, and they want to bring in their own creativity and their own expertise. So they start saying things like, I'd really like to make some fruit salad with chili. At which point you might say, no way, we're never going to put chili into fruit salad. So if that person makes several suggestions to that sort, and that they get knocked back every time, you're never going to get them out of the directing and coaching, because they're going to stop taking risks. They're going to stop participating and offering their creative ideas. So you're never going to get to delegating. They will always rely on you. So the important thing at this point is to show them that it's worthwhile taking a risk, and you help manage the risk. So what you're doing is you're shifting from directive behavior to supportive behavior. Now, the trick is, and this is the crux, is the coaching and the supporting take work and they take time. Whereas the directive behaviors, they are very simple. You can just be task-oriented and just get them to do it. So while this is an investment in time, the important thing is that this is the kind of behavior that supports people in becoming really competent in what they do, and they will stay around. Because if there's one thing that people love, it's being competent. So when you go into the different quadrants, and I'll put the handout like a little sheet for that into the chat, so you can have a look at that later. But the idea is to get people from low willingness to high willingness. And the only way you can really do that is by acknowledging that they have competencies. Now, the problem is often that we take a person as a whole. This is called the situational leadership model for a reason. You may find somebody who knows how to cut bananas really, really well, but they have never seen a pomegranate in their life. So you can't assign the same competencies to them that you would for the banana that you would for the pomegranate, and the other way around. You actually need to assess where the person is at. But once you know where they're at, you can support them in moving to the next quadrant until they get to that high ability and high willingness, where you can basically make yourself redundant, but not irrelevant, because they may, in other areas, they may need some support. But the important thing about this is what it does, it promotes growth and development. And really important for small business owners in an economy where people are, it's a gig economy and people have, to turnover very quickly. People stay because they feel appreciated and they feel that they are growing and developing. And what you do is you can actually become more flexible, because there will be somebody who can step into your shoes once they know how to do these things. So you may wonder how this connects to needs. Well, we have two core human needs, and they're called competence and autonomy. And these are the really important ones. And what happens is when we provide the appropriate challenge and support, we fulfill this need for competence and for the autonomy when we give people more control, when they know how to develop. So the more we make ourselves redundant as leaders, the more competent people become, the more they fulfill the needs for competence and autonomy, the more fulfilled they will be in their role, and then more likely they will be to stay. The connection to boundaries, if you're wondering, is also very simple. when you respect their boundaries, they also feel more secure and really respected. And that's really important, especially with the younger generation who have grown up in a very different environment to older people, where they have a voice that's much more articulated. So they don't necessarily just follow the rules, but they also want to know that they can contribute. And so they may jump over the boundaries, but if you're negotiating the boundaries with them, then you create a great win-win situation. And what you do is you help really establish trust and open communication, because it means that you can negotiate as partners. You're no longer having a parent-child relationship. So the reasons why leaders don't want to do it is because they feel that they're losing control. And there's a sense of well, people are going to make lots of mistakes, and so nothing is done to my standards, and nobody will follow my processes and outcomes. And so people start to micromanage, and they start to get into the, I'll show you how it's being done. I often hear from people when in small businesses, they say, well, my life was much easier and my work was so much more fulfilling and done to my standards when I didn't have anybody I had to manage. Managing people is the most difficult thing that I have ever done. And this is the thing, is when people keep doing what they can delegate to other people, there's a huge risk for burnout. So the benefits for developing people's confidence is really improved productivity for you as well as for them, and you are making effective use of your time and theirs. So how does emotional intelligence fit into that? Well, you need a lot of patience initially. But what you're doing is you're also increasing productivity when people actually do what you're paying them to do. And so you get to focus on working on, but not in the business. So that means you also, when people are up, when you manage people on their level of competence, what you do is you get more creativity and innovation, because people really want to participate. So that means you're creating a great team morale, and you create a great team culture, because when people feel heard and understood and valued, again, they will stay around. And what they want to do is they want to develop themselves further, which is great for you because it means you can make yourself redundant. So, and that means you've created a new leader, which also means you have increased the value of sale of your business, because when people go with you, with a business, you can definitely charge more. And really, really important, you have a life outside of work. So you get your life back. You do not have to work on the weekend, because you have people around you who you have managed to the level of their competence, and you can relax and let go. So strategy is very simple. Oops. So you assess how confident somebody feels very simply by saying you give somebody a task, and you get and this is where Alan would come in, and you get a facial expression that says, I'm not really sure. Ask them, how confident do you feel that you can do this job on a scale of 1 to 5? If they come back with a 2, they probably need some more coaching and some more support. So providing clear instructions and expectations is really important. So setting what exactly what you want, but then also letting go, so that you can create trust and rapport, and then you can offer ongoing support, so that what you do is you encourage the independence, and people can really step up and really be fulfilled, and you can have a life, which is what's really, really important. And you make the most of people's capabilities, and again, more heads than one create a synergy that is hard to beat. So thank you everyone. And if you have any questions, or if you would like to discuss how this would work for you, please feel free to book in for a meeting with me. I've also got that in the chat, the link. And yeah, I look forward to having a talk with you.
Rightio. Has anybody got any questions for Angela? Just put your virtual hands up, and we'll go from there. Sigrid.
It was excellent, Angela, and particularly I did question at the very beginning, you mean that we should draw a piece of fruit, and you didn't answer. Now
No.
that reminds me to think that when you question something, you really need to question until you get the answer that you're waiting for, because that was a trigger, really, wasn't it, to notice that it wasn't what I asked, which is excellent. And that puts us on the whole path of the entire session that you've just shared with us. I think it can be tweaked in our thinking, how that not only applies as us being a leader to staff and others, but in particularly also with customers and clients, because there are parallels, aren't there, that we can draw from these situations and ways of dealing with people, with teams,
Absolutely.
also with customers. Thanks, Angela. Excellent.
Neville.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the whole idea of creating a sense of people valuing their own work is really important, and supporting people in that. Now, as you move through from directing to through that cycle into delegating, how does the language shift? How does the language shift for the leader as they go through that process?
It goes from please do this to how about you, or what would it take for you to do this, or what are your thoughts? So you basically start going from very directive to asking people. So when you teach somebody what to do, you actually use very directive language. But when somebody has a competence, you invite them. So you're using like words that give people a choice, and you will ask many more questions. When somebody doesn't know what they're doing, and I'm using this in the most positive way, asking them questions is not going to help. You can't expect somebody to describe something they have never done, or to ask questions if they, like you want them to get to that place of competence first.
So in some respects, even at the directive stage, you're assessing what they already bring to the table.
Absolutely. Oh, totally. Thank you. Yes. Always, with an adult, always check, which is why it's a situation leadership model. You don't just give them and say, here, you go and make fruit salad. You say, how familiar are you with the ingredients that we're going to use? Okay, great. You know how to cut bananas. Let's start with that. Also set them up for success. Don't give them something they have never done before as the first thing and go, let me teach you something that is completely new. Start with something they already have some competence in, so they start building the trust and also that sense of they're being appreciated for their skills.
Thank you.
Yeah, because that's a major thing, and that everybody wants to belong. They want to feel that they contribute, that they're valued, etc. And we noticed when COVID first hit, and the way that people or businesses, professionals responded at that time, the fear of people working from home, the amount of distrust they had for their employees, and we wondered why performance was so low. Well, that was one of the reasons for it. To guide somebody and have them grow, because isn't that the leader's job, to make themselves redundant by raising others up to do what they're doing, but hopefully doing it better than they ever did in it before, and taking pride in that the other person has out-achieved you. Otherwise, you create a prison for yourself. So all of this comes together.
Yeah, and when you work like Peter or Pedro, when you've got people you work online with, that's important is that you really support people also in building a relationship with them, because we're so task-oriented when we're online. So having an occasional chat with them, and again, finding out what's going on for them, how confident do they feel, and this is so important, because otherwise it becomes so transactional, and then you never identify the gaps. And then it can really go, the expectations can go really sideways.
Excellent. Any other questions for Angela? Okay. If you can stop the recording, Angela.